Hey guys, welcome to a brand new episode. Today we're taking a look at Monster Infinite and we're focusing on Inception Monsters, CHRONOZEROs, purchasing these on the markets, looking at the different values. We're going to be taking a look at the cards of every single CHRONOZERO in Inception Monster. So we know now that CHRONOZEROs will have the base cards of their type, and Inception Monsters have special cards that come with their legendary parts. So I've got a really detailed list that details every single card available in the game. I'm going to be taking a look at that and then thinking about using that with what is the most desirable monster on the market at the moment, because that might actually sway your judgment towards picking a certain monster and buying them, and then that might set you up better for the future rather than just buying one for a cheap price or the cheapest monster that you can find. So I've only picked up one monster so far, and so here's what my monster collection looks like. I have one Inception monster with no legendary parts. I have my two CHRONOZEROs, and I bought this CHRONOZERO, and I kind of impulse bought this because I like the sound of Oracle, protect an ally from dying X times for a number of rounds, and yeah, I thought that would be a pretty good card to have. And looked at the other ones and they all looked pretty good as well. Grant a block to an ally, deal physical damage, enemy loses stamina. So let's take a look at the market and how it's actually shaping up at the moment. Now we have a ton of monsters available, and these will only increase when we actually are able to breed. But what they do need at the moment is a filtering system. It is very, very difficult to filter your monsters at the moment. You can rate it by ID, start price, or end price, and so we can see what would be the cheapest and what would be the most expensive. So right now, a CHRONOZERO monster is 61,000 STT. So if we go to the exchange, we can see just how much that is. Annoyingly, you can't go 62, you can't type into the STT. You have to type numbers that help you work out. So if I type in 200, I mean, fortunately, I'm around correct with that. About 190 would get me to 62,000 STT. So at this current price of money, which is about 2.14 last time I looked, 2.09, it's gonna cost you about $400 to get a monster now, which is a lot considering we were able to purchase them at launch for $15 to $20, $15 to $30 roughly about. So it's a big markup. So if you want to sell your monsters that you bought, you can sell them at a pretty good profit. They will have actually that was for soul bonds. I'm thinking 15 to 40 was that it was more expensive for CHRONOZEROs, and you can't sell soul bond monsters. So that is not necessarily true. I think it was 25,000 compared to 15, maybe 10 times that. It may still be around the point at which you probably might be breaking even. We have we've had a fair bit of a dip since the market released. Why? I'm not really sure. I don't feel like, if people are selling off, people will be buying, but we're actually at quite a nice dip. That I'm thinking about buying that dip. 2.08, because it has been coming down for a long time now, and cut down 50% of the top price up here, all-time high. And well, not all-time high, actually, this one was, but it's come down 50%. So room for growth potentially if we get some news. I think we're gonna have some news coming very soon. That's not, I know I'm a monster ambassador, but I haven't had any information. I think there's been exciting news about the launch pad. I think that's huge news, but that hasn't affected the price either. It's just come down. I think we'll be waiting on an update, and then when that update comes, that's when we'll see a boom in the price. So that's the cheapest CHRONOZERO that you can buy. And then you're gonna have to, search pretty heavily to be able to find out what's the cheapest Inception monster. annoyingly, the marketplace isn't working very well. I think we had a lot of FUD when the first marketplace, when the selling of the CHRONOZERO monsters, it didn't go to plan. And then the second one, it worked eventually. Nobody lost any money, free gas fees. You know, there was no loss of gas fees and things in transactions, but it was the fact that it was a bit buggy. And didn't work straight away. It was just really due to the servers not being able to handle the demand, which is good in one way because it just shows how many people wanted them. But post that, we see people, I think, losing a little bit of fear and uncertainty. But if we could only filter out the Inception Monster, we'd be able to see these, but they just don't load up. And you can go to, you'd have to hit end price, and that starts to get some to load up, I think. It usually does. We go back to the exchange. But Inception Monsters, so upon launch of the marketplace, $8,000 was the floor price for an Inception Monster. That changed the day after. It became 4,000, and then after that, I just got lost in the markets. Like I couldn't figure out what was actually the lowest. I just couldn't get to them because you can't get to the Inception Monsters. But if we start going through here, we can see that, you know, these ones are listed at a very high price, 1.05 million, 500,000. Will it let us go to 4? Yep. So we start getting down to the 350,000, but then look, these are 3.5 million. They're not in order. And then we get to CHRONOZEROs, and yeah, the lowest I have seen going through up to page 18, which is the furthest I've ever got. The cheapest I saw was for 200,000 STT. So if we work that out, 200,000, what's about 680, 670, 630, 610 money. So about 1,200 for an Inception Monster. So that's a massive decrease from $8,000 being the flat floor price to 1,000. And we don't know the function, the full capabilities of having an Inception Monster. We don't know the benefits that will come with them. You know, in a year from now, it might be that they will have some huge benefit. So $1,000, you know, that's a lot of money, $1,200. But it's very early in the game, and the game NFTs don't have any utility. So sometimes these are the hardest moments to take. I think the hardest risks to take, but sometimes they pay off. Like I did it in Plant vs Undead. It didn't pay off spending $1,000 on NFTs. But that was a game that was on its way out anyway. But this is a brand new game. And a good example of this is Step Hero. I sold my NFT for $5,000, and then switch forward a month later, the NFTs were given utility and you could stake them. So, and you obviously got more if you had a legendary. Price rose up, shot up to 15,000, and I missed out on 10 grand. Somebody picked up mine for 5 grand, held it, and I saw in the sales, they then later sold it for $15,000. So sometimes these buys can be some of the biggest earners in your portfolio. So that is obviously the cheapest, but you're not just going to want to pick the cheapest NFT, because you might want one that is going to be really good for PvP. And massive shout out to ZETHAGG, who collated all the cards for the different species, the different types, and put them all together, and also worked out all the legendary parts for each of those as well. So we have the Golem, Nightingale, Prophet, Grog Knack, Juggernaut, and Bomo as the different types. Cyborg, Terminator, Alchemist as well. So 54 normal cards per monster type, added 54 Inception Monster legendary cards, added cards is the assumption. Money donations are not necessary, but if you appreciate this, I'll put a link to it in the description below. feel free to make a donation to Zetha. Assumed types of cards, they're buffs, so these will help your allies. There are attacks that have no effect than just attacking damaging the enemy. Debuffs, which will decrease, stamina or something in an enemy. Attack, which will also have a debuff attached to it. Tactical, and so this might be probably something like, protect your monster with a bubble. Attack, which will have a buff attached to it. So why would you want to do that? Attack them. Maybe it'd be a really strong attack, but it also boosts their attack, so it's a riskier one. But that could be interesting. A lot of people will be taking some gambles. So we've got Prime. Let's take a look at some of these cards. We've got Royal Blood. Gain X strength, lasts for the entire battle. So this is a buff. We've got deal X% of the remaining health as a physical damage. So this is going to be one where you want to probably use Smite first. So it'll be a good first card to use. Discard X cards on hand. The enemy loses XY attack for their next turn. So discard X cards on your hand. This is that's a tactical, right? It doesn't come down as a tactical. A debuff. I'd say that's more tactical, but I mean they've given it that symbol. But that can potentially prevent them from being able to attack you next turn. Then you've got Head Part, Phase Shift. Exchange stamina and mana costs for the rest of your turn. So, what if you're using... Maybe if you've run out of stamina and you really need it, or you've run out of mana the other way, this could be a really good way of getting access to those. So when you're spending mana, you actually spend stamina instead. Warcry. This reshuffles your first X cards from your deck. So this is really just kind of if you've not got... I mean, is that a buff? It's not really a buff, is it? It's again a tactical. Reshuffle the first X cards in your deck will help you just if you've got some really bad cards, you want some good ones. Mend, restored X health every turn, lasts for so many rounds. So that's a really good one because it will last. So it'll probably be less health than you would get with like a full health recovery, or one turn recovery, but it will last you in your numerous turns. Then the legendary parts for the cyborg is there's gain X% strength, lasts for entire battle. A great card to potentially use first off. Deal X% of remaining health as physical damage to all enemies. Remaining health as physical damage to all enemies. I mean, if you've got a lot of health, this one's pretty damn deadly. So this is the arms part. So I'd say that was a really good one. So if you're looking for a good legendary part, you want to be looking for a prime cyborg potentially. Legs part, discard Y cards on hand. All enemies lose XY attack for their next turn. So XY. So I'm not 100% sure about the XY and the meaning behind that. So is X stamina card and Y mana? I don't know, because the other one was discard X cards, wasn't it? But anyway, all enemies lose attacks for the next turn. So very similar to the card we looked on Safeguard, isn't it? And then we've got Energy Fusion. Transfer all mana to stamina. Spend stamina as mana this turn. Okay, so similar to that, but more favoured towards if you are using cards that have, or you need stamina. Battle Aura. All allies gain percentage of your strength. Lasts for X rounds. Very, very good card to get. So face part of the cyborg. I would say this was, one of the better ones. Then we got tail part. Restore X health to you and your allies every turn. Lasts for X rounds. That's a really good one to use straight off. Restore if it lasts for 5 rounds or something. You restore health and your allies at the end at every turn. You're going to get a lot of healing done from that. And if you're like a tanky character, then that's going to be even better because you'll be the one staying alive to keep using that effect. Then we got Terminator. Let's look at Cyborg. So Cyborg, they get Reboot, which is reshuffle of the first card. So it's similar to the Cyborg one, the Prime one. We've got Taser, which deals X% of damage as elemental damage. Okay, so elemental damage in this case. We have Engine, gain XY agility for X stamina. Lasts for X rounds. So you use up stamina to gain some extra agility. So that could be quite tactical in the beginning as well. So Taser, I'd say, is pretty good. A good attacking card. Firewall, block percentage of the next so many attacks. And this lasts for X rounds. This is a very good tactical card to use because you could use it and, you know, people might be focusing on you. And as a result, that you're just, you know, negating a lot of their damage. And then when you or your other your other monsters attack, they could do quite a fair bit of attack. Then we've got Scanner, which removes one block from an enemy. So we saw that card that I talked about that puts a bubble around them. This could remove the block from an enemy. Mark Precision deals X physical damage and reduces defense by X. Lasts for so many rounds. This is very good in that it'll, you know, it's attack debuff that your enemy will not only take damage, but they'll reduce the defense for other attacks done by other people. Legendary parts though. For the Terminators, we've got Transformer. Reshuffle first so many cards of your deck and gain stamina for each attack card. That could be quite tactical. It is a tactical card this time. Laser Beam. Deal X% of attack as elemental damage to all enemies. That's a good attack. These arms are really looking quite strong at the moment. Legs. XY agility for Y stamina. Lasts for the entire battle. Okay, so that could be good if you're really trying to look for a buff to stamina. Neural Network. Block a percentage of the next so many attacks. Restores percentage as health. Lasts for so many rounds. That's a really good card. So the head part of Terminator. Satellite Radar. Remove one block or so many blocks from all enemies. Oh, so that's like that, but just way better. And Target Lockdown. Deal percentage of physical damage. Defense reduced by so much per turn. It's similar to that, but slightly better with just slightly. Maybe that is there a common feature of that than being the same? Gain additional cards turn with X new cards. Yeah, with X new cards, but mana regenerates once more. So they're just the same cards, but just better. So we've got that gain an additional turn with new cards. That's pretty damn good. Zap, deal XY elemental damage for mana. Weaken, the enemy loses X strength, lasts for X rounds. Toxic Spray, the enemy receives elemental damage for every turn, lasts for so many rounds. That's really good. Grant X intelligence to an ally, lasts for so many rounds. Grant XY health to an ally for X mana on the ally. That could be really good as well. So the buffs, the added-ons that you get with the legendary parts is that mana regenerates once more. You get drain Y mana from the enemy as well. The enemy loses strength and lasts for the entire battle, okay, rather than a couple of rounds. All enemies receive so much elemental damage at every turn. This lasts for so many rounds. So that's all enemies receive elemental damage every time. There's no different for that. At every turn. Maybe it just lasts for more rounds. True Sight grants intelligence to all allies, lasts for the entire battle, or instead of rounds. And Immortality grants so much percentage of health to an ally for Y mana on the ally. Okay. Golem. We got gain X block, lasts for the entire battle. We've got deal physical damage for each strike card that you used in this battle. Deal physical damage to an enemy. Draw one card or more, less for their next turn. Oh, so you can actually attack them and add a debuff to it as well. So it might do less damage, but that's quite a good tactical one. Grants X petrified to an enemy. Costs so much stamina and health to remove it. Ah, so to remove it, they have to sacrifice stamina and health. The enemy targets your allies for percentage, or you for percentage of X damage your next turn. Enemy targets your allies for percentage or percentage for damage next turn. Bash. Deal X physical damage. Enemy loses X stamina. Dealing physical damage and enemy losing stamina. Again, another attacking debuff. So the benefits with Diamond Body is that it will last for an entire battle. Gain block from percentage of your total health. That's really good if it lasts the whole battle. So I'd say that's one of the better legendary parts. So, you know, in line with, I think we saw Terminator, the arms part, Prime, Domination. These are the best parts we've seen so far, and I think this one is Diamond Body is one of those parts that you really going to be heavily sought after. Arms parts Meteor, deal physical damage for each attack card you use in this battle. Nice. Split ground, deal physical damage to all enemies and draw X cards less for their next turn. So that does it to all enemies. That's a really good one as well. Legs part, obviously way better than that, which only inflicts it to one enemy. Then we've got Stone Gaze, grants petrified to all enemies, so they'd all have to sacrifice stamina and health to remove it. All enemies target your allies for a percentage or you for percentage damage next turn. And deal X physical damage, all enemies lose stamina. But these cards, whilst I'm like not saying they're amazing, these cards, if Earthquake could be really powerful for the legendary part, I don't know. We've got Nightingale. Play next attack card twice. The second attack is dealt with an extra percentage of damage. Deal X elemental damage per agility stat. Deal physical damage. Add another copy of this card in discard pile. That's good. Restore X mana to an ally. Grant 1 block, so this is my bubble, to an ally and lasts for so many rounds. Deal physical damage. Increase by X times used. Lasts for entire battle. Wow. Mirage Party. The player next attacks card twice. The second attack deals probably an increase in damage to all. Oh, is that to all? Okay, so all rather than just one of them. Deal elemental damage per agility stat to all enemies. Parallel universe, deal X physical damage. Add X cost copy of this card in the discard pile. Restore mana to all allies. Grant blocks to all allies. So again, then like moves like this, they've got to be countered by, you know, the other parts which can remove block from all allies, really. Deal physical damage. Increase by percentage each used. Lasts for entire battle. That one could be pretty good as well. So the tail of Nightingale. Prophet. Oracle. Prevents an ally from dying so many times. Lasts for so many rounds. So that's a really good one. This is one that I was looking at. I think I've got on one of my guys as well. Spirit Tap. Deal X elemental damage. Restore stamina. Reduce the mana cost of your next card by X. And restore health to the most injured ally. That could be tactically really, really helpful. Silence. Prevents an enemy from spending mana. Lasts for so many rounds. Offering. Discard first X cards and draw additional cards to sacrifice X health. Okay. So you're sacrificing health, but you know, you could be looking for a particular card that you might need. That could help you get it. Legendary parts mean that prevents an ally from dying so many times and it lasts for slightly more rounds. Oh no, this is all allies. Whoa. So a legendary body part on a Prophet could be huge. Giving that, preventing all allies from dying. That's massive. Spirit Steel. Deal X elemental damage. Steal X stamina from the enemy. Astral Projection. Reduce the mana cost of cards by X for the rest of your turn. Restore health to all allies. That's huge. Ray of Hope as well. Prevent an ally from spending mana. Lasts so many rounds. And receive Offering. Discard first X cards and draw an additional cards. Restores so much health. So that's good. It restores health. Whereas this one sacrifices health. We've got 3 left. Grog Knack. Plunge. Would deal X damage. Extra damage to enemy for the rest of your turn. Cleave, deal extra physical damage to all enemies when attack is used this turn. Regenerate percentage of health and stamina in the next turn. X percentage of your damage ignores block with your next attack during this turn, so another counter to a block. Gain X attack and lose defense. Lasts for so many rounds. Okay, so this Berserker mode, yeah, well, appropriately named. Hyper Instinct, reflect a percentage of the damage dealt to you back at somebody else. So that's really good if somebody's targeting you. Deal X percentage of extra damage to all enemies for the rest of your turn. Accolation, deal extra damage, physical damage to all extra enemies when the card is used this turn. Regenerate, inner peace. Regenerate a percentage of more health and stamina. Lasts for the entire battle. Hidden presence. Percentage of your damage ignores block for the rest of your turn. Mask of Death. Gain X damage for every attack. Lose defense. Lasts for so many rounds. And reflect percentage of the damage dealt to you to all enemies. So if somebody one hits you, it gets dealt back to all. So if somebody attacks you know, every single enemy attacks you, potentially you could deal damage to all allies and destroy them all with just one person, as long as you don't die. But maybe if you max that up with some protection. Then we've got Adrenaline. Get your next turn, next to your turns, so many turns earlier. Gain extra damage on strike cards. Lasts for entire battle. Gain X agility for the rest of your turn. Deal extra physical damage. Sacrifice health. Okay, so it's a bit of a, yeah, it's a bit of a kamikaze. Reduce X stamina cost on all attack cards for an ally. Lasts for so many rounds. And deal physical damage to attacker. Lasts for so many rounds. Then the legendary parts are Time Leap. The target ally gets their next turn so many turns early. The target ally, okay, so that can be used on anybody, so a little bit more tactical. Then we've got Spiked Knuckles. Gain percentage of extra damage on strike cards. Lasts for entire battle. Percentage of extra damage on strike cards. Okay. Gain agility and intelligence for the rest of your turn, whereas the first one was just agility. Deal extra physical damage. Sacrifice health, so even deal even more and more damage and sacrifice health, probably. Then we've got Hysteria. Reduce stamina cost on all attack cards for allies. Lasts for so many rounds. That's a really good tactical card to use to help others out. Easily Offended. Deal X physical damage to an attacker and gain block. Lasts for so many rounds. That's good. So on top of that, you gain an extra little block. And then finally, we have Bomo as the final set of cards. Revived Ritual. Revives last killed ally with percentage of health. Whoa. So we've actually got a revive here, making a Bomo a potential critical person to have in your squad. We've got Siphon on the arms. Deal elemental damage. Restores a percentage of health for damage dealt. Confuse. Grant Confuse to an enemy. Deal 80% of attack to ally to remove. Okay, got to deal 80% of attack to allies for it to move them. Then we got Prayer. I don't know why I say Prayer. Prayer. I didn't say prayer in England. Remove all debuffs from ally. Restore health from each debuff removed. Whoa, that's cool. That's a very good counter to somebody using debuffs against you. Curse. The enemy lose so much defense and resistance and lasts for X rounds. Bohong. The enemy loses intelligence, lasts for X rounds. I think we're gonna have to wait till PvP when we can actually judge how important is intelligence. Then we have the legendary parts. Zombie. Revives last killed ally with X health repeatedly, lasts for X rounds. With X health repeatedly. What? Repeatedly revives them. Lasts for so many rounds. I mean, obviously that they have to stay alive. But wow. Vampire. Deal percentage of deal X elemental damage and restore health equal to X% of enemy health. Okay, that is proper vampire. How is it different? Oh, damage dealt. So that's equal to percentage of enemy health. So you attack somebody who's got a lot of health, you're going to get a fair amount of health there. Gaslighting. Grant Confused to all enemies. Deals X% attack to an ally to remove. Oh wow, so you're confused. All enemies are confused and they have to attack one of your allies to remove it. So unless they attack the right one, I don't know whether they'll see which one that is. That would be interesting. Exorcism. Remove all debuffs from all allies. Restore X health for each debuff removed. Decrepify. The enemy loses X defense and X resistance, lasts for entire battle. And Stupefy. The enemy loses intelligence, lasts for entire battle. So we see the difference looking at all those in normal parts and legendary parts. Normal cards, legendary cards. Legendary cards definitely giving you a big advantage in battles. And I think we are going to see some teams having 3 Inception Monsters. 3 Inception Monsters with legendary parts as well. And at that point when we start to see that, I think it could be tough. But I don't think the great thing about the variety in all these cards is there's so many attacks that are dependent on not being countered, and there's so many counters to defend against really, really good cards that I think it's going to make it really, the gameplay really varied. So it's going to be a percentage game. Is how much do you win over other people, because you're not going to win every single game. I don't think that's going to be possible unless you have, these guys with 6 parts. I think you're going to struggle, but that's going to set anybody back a lot of money. But some people have a lot of money to invest in games like this. And, I'm tempted to pick up an Inception Monster, but it would probably cost about $5,000 to pick up one with a legendary part. But yeah, exciting things. Hopefully that little guide, obviously the ones that I picked out as I was going through those are the ones that I think if you are thinking of going for an Inception Monster, that's what you want to go for. And out of these ones that are the different races, I think I really like the look of the Bomo with Ritual and being able to revive. I think Golem is a really good attacking monster to have, and I really like Terminators as well. Dealing elemental damage. I like this firewall that blocks the next attacks. I think that's hugely tactical. Blocking, removing a block from an enemy. You've got that ability to protect yourself if somebody does have a block. And you've got Mark Precision, which deals damage and reduces defense. So some tactical attacking debuffs. I think they're quite a nice all-rounder. But let me know down below, what's your favorite type based on those cards? Out of these races, which one do you think is going to be the best one? And are you going to shape your squad that way? Are you going to sell and buy, flip them to make sure that you get the team? Let me know, because I think there's a good opportunity. Now there's a lot of uncertainty about what has worth, and these are the best times to get them, because there'll be people selling them and they won't know what they've got. They might be just selling them based on them just being a monster and not actually selling them based on the cards that they've got. So get ahead of the pack, hopefully, with this and get flipping for some profit. Okay, but that's all for this one. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. If you have, please leave a like on the video. It always helps the channel out. Hit the subscribe button if you want to keep up to date with future content. That's all from me. See you guys soon.